Friends, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life, bringing you my daily diary update for the days of Tuesday, the 29th of March of 2022 through Sunday, the 3rd of April, 2022. So what happened during these days? Well, on the 29th, I began early here at my desk. I had some emails to do in regard to Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, which is the month of April, and in regard to some upcoming media events and the morning staff briefing and administrative meetings. But then early that morning, we set off, some of my associates and I, to drive to Jacksonville. It's about a 2-hour drive from our office here, and to go up to Jacksonville in order to attend the Heartbeat International Conference. Now, this is a major conference of pregnancy center directors and staff and volunteers from across the country, and indeed from some other countries of the world. We had close to 1,500 of these people, and we stayed at this conference for several days, so I'll walk you through what I did there at the conference. So in the car on the drive there, I was driving with our executive director, Janet Morana, so we had a phone call in the car with our communications director to talk about the book that she is writing about Priests for Life. So we went through some stories that we wanted her to include in the book and did some work along those lines. We met also with our website manager, and we talked about the Abortion Recovery Awareness Month and some pages that we're utilizing to pull together some good information about that for the general public. We had a number of other phone calls and work being done there in the car. We arrived in Jacksonville, unloaded the cars with all kinds of material for our Priests for Life exhibit booth, brought it into the hotel, had lunch together there. After that, I had 3 people with me: our executive director, executive manager, and resource department manager. And so the 3 of us then proceeded to set up the exhibit booth and lay out all our materials for the people. I also began setting up for the Mass. After we set up our exhibit booth, I was greeting people as they were arriving, other exhibitors who were setting up, leaders of Heartbeat and of other pro-life groups that were there. Spent some good time networking, as welcoming them as they were coming in and things like that. And then we had a Mass that afternoon. So at 5:15 p.m., we had a Mass for the people who were arriving and the Catholic participants of the conference. I preached, and then in the evening had a dinner meeting with my team, and also with Chris Slattery, who is from New York City and runs the Expectant Mother Care pregnancy centers there. He was, of course, a participant in the conference. The next day, Wednesday, the 30th of March, started with the Mass that I offered for the conference participants at 7:45 in the morning. Lots of participants coming to that Mass. And then we proceeded to network at our booth. So we went to our Priests for Life exhibit booth, which was really, really nicely set up, and welcomed all kinds of people who were coming to us from pregnancy centers across the country, many of which I had visited in the past, or I had blessed the centers, trained their staff, spoken at their banquets, and many of them, it was so nice to have them all in one place, coming together, coming to our booth. We were giving them our books, our pamphlets, our videos, our resources to help their center, to help them help those who think they have to have an abortion and whom we are trying to convince not to do so. That was a great session. We had a special lunch with the whole conference together. And then in the after lunch, Janet and I had our workshop. So we presented a workshop to this Heartbeat International Conference, and it was about new imagery of the unborn child and how that could be used in counseling those who are thinking about having an abortion. We gave that presentation showing new still images and video, and then we, after that, went back to our booth and networked more with people who had questions and wanted more resources and so forth. In the evening, there was a dinner for the entire conference. So we went into the ballroom and had that dinner, and there were speeches and whatnot, and that brought us to the end of the day on March 30th. Thursday, March 31st, started in the same way with the morning mass. It started actually with a rosary first at 7:15, and then the mass, and then a little discussion session after the mass that I held with pregnancy center directors who were especially interested in knowing how to encourage the clergy to support the pro-life work and to support the pregnancy centers. So we had an honest discussion about that. Right after that time of discussion, I went back to our exhibit booth and together with my associates continued to greet people. Many people wanted me to do a little video greeting for their pregnancy center and staff, which I gladly did. They wanted to take pictures. They wanted me to sign books. They wanted to take our resources. So we spent a couple of hours doing that until it was time for the conference lunch. Again, all the conference participants gathering together for a special luncheon with a special speech. After that, right from the luncheon, I went up to my room to do a media interview with Graham Ledger of the Ledger Report. He's been a great ally in this cause, very committed to pro-life himself and to the pregnancy center. So he did an interview with me online. After that, I went back to downstairs to a session of confessions, and I heard confessions nonstop for 3 hours for the conference participants. Then, having done that, it was time to go to our booth, which by now my staff had packed up the booth already and finished the exhibit time, finished that afternoon. And having packed all that up, we then had dinner together to close out the day. I also, in some email work that I had to do in between all of this, was responding to inquiries from colleagues for some help in regard to the babies that were discovered in Washington, D.C., and that will be the topic of some other broadcasts, babies taken out from the abortion facility there in Washington. On Friday, April 1st, started again with Mass for the Heartbeat Conference at 7:45 in the morning. After the Mass, again, a little discussion group that we had. I was sharing some experiences of the time I had with Terri Schiavo, because on March 31st was the 17th anniversary of her death. Did some email work, had to send some comments to the media and also approve some plans for future trips, but then was then ready to leave with my staff at 9:30 to go to the nearby abortion facility in Jacksonville. We joined up for an hour of prayer and preaching and exhortation and encouragement with the 40 Days for Life group there in Jacksonville. So we were happy to do that morning. We made a separate video of that. After praying at the abortion facility, we came back to the hotel. I continued networking with people, visiting some of the other exhibit booths, meeting up with friends and colleagues from over the years, and encouraging them and exchanging information. Then we had a luncheon again with the entire conference with speeches. And then when we were finished with that luncheon, we packed up our vehicles and my team and I drove back to Titusville, doing various work in the car as we drove, phone calls and updates, and then got back to the office and did a lot more of the same, meeting with staff and unpacking and planning for the week to come. And it was a busy, fruitful time with the staff that afternoon, and then planning for some more things that we're doing, broadcasts that we're doing for Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, and finished out the day in that manner. Saturday morning, April the 2nd, I did more in the morning, worked right here at my desk where I'm sitting now, newsletter approvals and edits for our Next Priest for Life newsletter, giving staff instruction about the renewal of certain web domains. We have like over 800 web domains that we use to get out the Priest for Life message. Planning for the 115 Forum, very important planning being done for the leaders meeting coming up that we coordinate, and also responding to more invitations for travels, many of which were generated by the Heartbeat Conference. That took me until about noon, and then I was picked up by a law student from Ave Maria School of Law on the other side of the state, over there in Naples, Florida. And he drove me across the state. So that was about a 4-hour drive. And in the car, I was working on many of these things on my laptop, lots of phone calls, conversation, of course, and getting ready for the evening to be spent there at Ave Maria. Got to the Ave Maria School of Law and right away went into our dinner event and presentation. I spoke to them for about an hour and a half, giving a presentation about not only updates in the pro-life movement, but what law students and attorneys can do for the pro-life movement. Gave that talk there. Some of the faculty who know me and a good number of the students were there to hear me, and good interaction with them in the questions and answers and in the private conversations following that. Went to a local hotel and went to bed. And then on Sunday morning, April 3rd, I was picked up by another law student at the hotel, and we drove back to my Titusville office. On the way there, we listened to the great speech that President Donald Trump gave the night before in Michigan, and I also did some other work on my laptop there in the car, interacting with staff. Got back here to Titusville, had lunch together with this law student. He went back to the university, and I continued work at my desk on many things, had a long update conversation with our executive manager, our executive director, and also our chief technology officer. 3 separate conversations, updating on the ongoing work that they are doing, updating on plans for the coming week, working on more things for Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, and just catching up, unpacking and catching up on emails and paperwork here at my desk, preparing for some interviews and broadcasts that are about to take place. So that was the day on Sunday, April 3rd, and that brings us right up to the present. Thanks for following these updates. We are accountable to you, to the Lord. We work for the unborn, and we will use every minute of time and every ounce of our resources for our very simple goal to end abortion. God bless you.